Alright, 7th time's the charm. This crashed on me like 6 times. Crashes on me this time. I am going to explode. Alright, so what I'm gonna do is just get a little bit more control over the AI utility with an AI color correct. There is a default color correct actually that comes in with Maya. It's just called color correct. If I'm using Arnold, I prefer to just sort of stick with Arnold utilities. For one, they show up better a lot of times in that little render preview thing. But I'll just hook this in like we did before and pray that when I open the stupid render view, Maya doesn't explode again. Incidentally, I do, in all seriousness, recommend versioning your files. So right now I've just been doing stuff in this for an hour and a half. If this gets corrupted, I've lost all of that. So I would say version 1, 2, 3, 4. That way if version 4 gets corrupted, you have version 3, and hopefully it's like recent-ish and you're able to actually go through and mess with that. So anywho, AI color correct. I'm just going to go through and mess with... Wait, what the heck? Actually, let's try a different thing. Let's try putting in the input to here. So with color correct, perhaps we could mess around with... Oof. That looks awful. Wait, what was... Oh, I was doing hue shift. That's bad. So you don't want to use hue shift. That's going to mess with your colors, and the color is important in this, so you don't want to do that here. But you can go through maybe and make some like weird, I don't know, you can make like harder lines if you want for your dust. You can sort of define how far the dust comes down, like maybe you don't want a whole lot of it. So in this case, I'll just be like, sure, that is, I guess, acceptable-ish looking dust. Let's go with that. You could leave it, or you could go in and map a noise. Wait, what am I doing? Yes. Actually, you know what? I have like 8 noise textures. I'm just gonna do the AI multiply. We've done it before. So this is procedural texturing is a lot of really similar stuff, honestly. So I'm gonna grab the inch. All right. So I will hook up the red and the green and the blue. So okay, sorry. I'm gonna hook up the green into here on this AI multiply node, and then I just need to sort of pick a noise texture that I have. I have many of them, and just dump that into input 1. And that should hook up the noise texture, and ooh, actually worked perfectly. That's exciting. And you can see that's gone through and broken up that dust a little bit. So in this case, if the dust was a less insane color, perhaps it was oof. If that was more orangey, you can see very clearly what it's doing now. But you know, I mean, you can sort of break that up in different ways. So I'm going to go back in and show you guys really quick. So like we have the dust. I'll show you how to map that into the overall texture that we have for everything. So we will have multiple layers of scratches and dirt and dust on this object. Incidentally, you can also add bump maps and stuff into that. I just haven't, done that. It's just sort of part of the overall texturing of the object. So I'm going to go grab this, and I'm going to assign this. Wait, this is already assigned mixed dust. So like I said before, the dust is usually the last thing you apply, because it's presumably your object is sitting there, it's not disturbed, it's, all the scratches and grabs are going to be covered by dust. So what I'm going to do is go through and, actually this should be a relatively simple swap out. I'm going to unmap my dirt color. I'm going to make just like a quick new texture for that actually. So new standard surface, I'll just make this not super shiny, I'll call this dust, 3rd time's the charm apparently, and set this to this, and maybe, I don't know, just some kind of like gross generic pale color, and I'll just throw the out color of that into wherever filth was mapped in previously. And then instead of having the oh my, must organize. Alright, so instead of having blue mapped in here, just gonna pull that out really quick. I would like my dirt and scratch mix mapped in here. And I should actually click on that. That's great. Click on your shader, middle mouse button, drag that in. It should theoretically be set up now. Like if we open our render, it should have, unless I'm going crazy. Oof, oh, wait. That looks horrendous. What have I done here? Oh, oops, that's awkward. I'm looking at this, I'm like, what did I do? Why is the out color mapped into the input? This makes no sense. You usually will never have the out color being mapped into the color itself. I put the wrong shader in. Great. So now we have dirt scratches. And now you can see we have, it's not pretty dust, but we have, you know, multiple levels of scratches with the dirt, with the dust, and pretty much with the exception of the scratches, none of this was done with actual textures. So if you gave this to someone, they could just input their own scratch map, and all of this would transfer perfectly to them. If you mess with my render test file, that was pretty much what I did with the ice cream, just a bunch of different procedural texturings for that. But yeah, so that's more or less procedural texturing. Next bit, I'm going to go over Arnold a little bit. Yeah, cool. Sorry, not Arnold, Redshift. I don't know what I'm talking about anymore. It is officially 10:30 now, and I'm going a little crazy. So, anywho, Redshift.